Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another live episode of Jacob's Ladder. I am your host, Jacob Israel, looking so cool, because we have a huge show to get into, and I wanted to feel warm and comfy for this one. So I hope you are ready to mobilize, because this is the word that is being heard right now. After President Trump has now been declared the President of the United States, the Trumpster. We knew it was coming. Who knew it was coming? We knew, especially on this channel, we knew it was coming for a long time from before he lost the 2020 election. This is going to be a good show. It's going to be one of those shows that I got to tell you, I'm a little concerned about. I think we need to do what we call, the word is interceding. Hello, everybody in the live chat. I see we got a lot of people here already. Will you do me a favor? Will you smash that like button? Will you share the link around, get people here? It's a new world order, the new world of the ages. It is Novus Ordo Seclorum. Oh, yes. Elon Musk just shouted that out on November 6th. November 6th, which that was the day that a new order took over. No doubt. It's not like we didn't say it was coming. It's not like we didn't think it was coming. It's not like the story of Nebuchadnezzar wasn't playing out and it's happening here again today. But there's something else that we need to concern ourselves with. And that is the transition of power. Why do I bring this up? Well, because this is something I've been concerned about for a while. It was kind of like my worst case situation. I shared it in my last show that I did with Brian Young. It's on X. If you're not following me on X, it's at JacobIsrael71. It's called Election Contradiction. And I kind of put my prediction out there that Trump was going to win on all fronts. But then they may not let him take over. Now, Biden is saying that there's going to be a peaceful transition of power. He actually is making it sound like he's kind of excited that Trump took over. I don't know if you noticed this. But there are other things that are being said that are a little more concerning. For example, Kamala Harris's, her concession speech, where she said she concedes this election, but she will not concede the fight. Going to take it to the courts, tells people to mobilize. Now, maybe she just means to, continue to have your voices heard. But it seems to be something that is being, kind of echoed right now in the Democratic Party. AOC was the last to jump on board. But am I concerned about this? Yes. But how concerned? So concerned that I wanted to show you all of this and remind you that there is a God that is on the throne. So let's take a look at the, let's set the pace with the Trumpster himself, President Trump. I congratulated him. I said to everybody, congratulations, President Trump. I pray this matter is settled. Together we can come together as a people, one nation under God, and we can see true positive change. This really has been a wild ride, and it may not be over, so stay buckled up. Well, let's take a listen to President Trump and what he has to say.
Friends on this incredible movement. This was a movement like nobody's ever seen before. And frankly, this was, I believe, the greatest political movement of all time. There's never been anything like this in this country, and maybe beyond. And now it's going to reach a new level of importance because we're going to help our country heal. We're going to help our country heal. We have a country that needs help, and it needs help very badly. We're going to fix our borders. We're going to fix everything about our country. And we made history for a reason tonight, and the reason is going to be just that. We overcame obstacles that nobody thought possible, and it is now clear that we've achieved the most incredible political thing. Look what happened. Is this crazy?
And the crowd goes wild. And why wouldn't they? This has been something that a lot of people have been concerned about. Now, before I get into this, and I remind you that on the show, some peculiar things happen. I throw out some stuff, I have some ideas, I speculate, and then it just comes to pass. And this is exactly what I thought was going to come to pass, and exactly what I was, hoping that I would see come to pass. But what I'm more concerned about is what's coming. But before we do that, I have to show this to you, because this is just kind of going back a little bit. Now, this was 2021, before Biden's inauguration. I compared Trump to Nebuchadnezzar. This is when everybody was worried. Everybody was saying there was no way he was going to come back. But I warned everything would be ripped away from him, and it was. But he would be restored. Restored. God would restore him. And now it's happening today. But a lot of people are concerned. So I want you to just listen to this, and then we're going to really get into the show. May know that the Most High is sovereign over the kingdom of mortals. He gives it to whom he will, and he sets over in the lowliest of human beings. He gives the kingdom to whoever he wants. No matter how great you think things are, no matter how strong the tree is, when it's told to be cut down to the ground, there's a reason. But the root is still there. The story of Nebuchadnezzar, whether it's the story of Donald Trump or not, it is one that we need to heed. Because in the story, he does become like a beast. And I don't want you to become like a beast. I don't want it, and Daniel didn't want it either. It wasn't like he was a big fan of the guy. Nebuchadnezzar wasn't exactly a righteous, holy man. Didn't really say whether or not, but he's like, please, hopefully this dream is about your enemies and not you. Because you're going to lose everything in an instant. But if you repent, if you say, you know what, Lord? Change my heart. Let me serve the people. Let me be a righteous leader. Because that's what ends up happening in the end. Nebuchadnezzar sees that it is the Lord that gives and the Lord that takes away. It is God who blesses and God who curses. It's the Lord that does all of these things. So serve the Lord and you're going to be okay. Love your enemies, even your enemies, as God loves you. Because in so doing, it's like a restoration of your own soul. We got to forgive, we got to be kind, and we got to understand that the old world is gone. There's a new world, there's a new earth, there's a new heaven, and we're entering into it. So when that period of judgment was over for Nebuchadnezzar, Nebuchadnezzar lifted his eyes. It's very symbolic of when you lift your eyes, you're putting your sights on more than yourself. And we all could do that. And my reason returned to me. He started to realize, he's like, oh yeah, that's right, that God. It's time to serve that God. It's not to be corrupt anymore. And I blessed the Most High, and I praised and I honored the one who lives forever. And his sovereignty is an everlasting sovereignty, and his kingdoms endure from generation to generation. All the inhabitants of the earth are accounted as nothing, and he does what he wills with the host of heaven and the inhabitants of the earth. There is no one that can stay his hand or say to him, what are you doing? What's going on here, Lord? Nobody can say this. Nebuchadnezzar says, at that time my reason returned to me, and my majesty and my splendor were restored. When you start to serve God, when your reason returns to you, your splendor and your majesty, it's restored. And the glory of my kingdom, my counselors and my Lord sought me out. I was reestablished over my kingdom. Why? Because he humbled himself. And he remembered the Lord. And for the first time, after seeing everything that was taken from him, the Lord gives it back to him. Because he is going to now serve God. Now, I can't say the same for his kids. We'll get into that another day. Now I, Nebuchadnezzar, praise and extol the honor the King of heaven. For all his works are truth, and his ways are justice, and he is able to bring low those who walk in pride. This was from the inauguration. This was from 2021. I think that that's pretty accurate. I think that that should be something that we focus on.
A fundamental principle
because the
of
question
American
becomes,
democracy
Nebuchadnezzar
is that
does
when we
come
lose an
back.
election, we
He
accept
did humble
the
himself. He
results.
comes back and
That
his
principle,
throne
as
is
much as
restored.
any other, distinguishes
His throne is restored.
democracy from
You know,
monarchy
Nebuchadnezzar also comes
or
against
tyranny.
Egypt.
And anyone
And
who
Egypt
seeks
had
the
a tendency of
public
coming
trust
against
must honor it.
Israel, especially when
At the
Moses
same time,
sets
in our
Israel
nation,
free. Jim Caviezel
we
said that Trump
owe
was like Moses.
loyalty not to a
Now,
president
before we get a
or
little too deep
party,
into the woods
but
of
to
this,
the
I'd like to let you know
Constitution
I'm
of the
just a
United
writer. I'm a
States.
speculator. I'm a man of God who loves God and loves his faith and kind of sees the writing on the wall. So I like to share it. Like to share it a little bit. I was so conflicted with this with this election. I didn't know. I didn't know what was going to happen. And then I knew that I should probably go and vote. But then I got like 2 doctor's appointments and I was so conflicted. But I ended up doing it. So, I got some skin in the game. Because I really felt like this is something I've been talking about for so long. For whatever reason, Donald Trump right now is supposed to be the president. Does that mean that he is going to end up being the president? That's the big question. Because we have a lot of things kind of hanging over his head. Do you know who is the person who has to certify the election? Do you know? It's Kamala Harris. She needs to certify this thing. Do you remember when they said that, that Mike Pence wasn't going to do it, and the whole thing with January 6th happened, and all that stuff happened, and here we are again, and it's crazier? And more seems to be on the line. Thank you very much for the super chat, Heather, and anybody else that I missed. I appreciate it. Listen, the support is needed, so I appreciate it. I'm grateful you're all here. But in that video I said, face it, the old world is gone. You better get used to it. The new world is coming. The new world is here. That's what I said. And now they're saying the tide has turned. The tide has turned. I did a bunch of videos about the tide turning. And you probably remember that those videos had to do with the Red Sea. They had to do with, of course, when Israel was going across and the tide turns. Egypt says, yeah, sure. We'll allow you to take over the country. We'll give you a peaceful choice. This is what God ordained. Your vote matters. So everything's going to be fine. But then when Israel was leaving Egypt, okay, and they had all the gold and they had all the treasure and they were going on and they were going to make a new world, Pharaoh's like, I know I said I was going to let you go, but now I'm coming after you. The tide turns on Egypt. Egypt comes after to attack what God ordained. Comes to attack what God ordained, and they end up just getting swamped by it. Trump was saying swamp the vote. Weird, because swamp means to flood. This is the story of Nebuchadnezzar, my friends. This is the story of Nebuchadnezzar. This is the story. All of these stories, they're coming together. This is it. This is the big one. So we're in a new world order. So is it any coincidence that Elon actually, writes new world order? Strange. Very strange. Stranger still is if you take a look at that thumbnail to the left of the 17 months and 17 days, you'll see the term Novus Ordo Seclorum on the dollar bill. That's the word. You see the top layer, you see Elon and Tucker laughing, having a good old time. And then you see in the background Trump overshadowing them all. His eyes smack dab in the middle of the eye of Providence. the tide is turning. That was 17 months, 17 days ago. New World Order in the background. New World Order declared. Those are those numbers that Trump loves, the 1717. 1717, the tide has turned. The tide is turning. I find it all to be pretty amazing. Almost as amazing as the fact that I told every one of you that I did not foresee Trump having any jail time. A lot of people were very concerned about that. Remember, I've been holding everybody's hand for a long time, kind of trying to encourage you all and encourage myself along the way. But his victory has brought a couple of benefits to his legal fight. And it looks like Jack, who many people say is whack. Jack Smith's, he's basically, he's been Trump's nemesis for so long that now that he's a president, there's nothing that Jack Smith can do. He can't prosecute. So here you see on May 29th, I put out this post. I've said for a long time, Trump won't see any jail time. I say I'd be shocked if he ended up in jail. I mean, if this was like a big scam, if they wanted to really fool me or outsmart me, I said they should put him in jail because that would trick me. But the question isn't whether or not, oh, it's a big show and we can't really trust him and everything else. Because I say a tree is known by its fruit. And I put something out today on X about this whole thing. The fact that Robert Kennedy Jr. is there, and the fact that he's very much against, some of the things that have happened in the pharmaceutical industry, that he's very much against the stuff that I see in my skies, that he's very much against the stuff that is, worries me about what I eat. Which is why, by the way, good time for me to plug Truly Free Home. I always forget to do this. I do it at the end. But you know what? Get yourself toxic-free cleaner. It's going to cost less money. It's recyclable. Everything else is awesome. It works great. I use it. Use it on your dishes. Use it on your laundry. Use it on your floors. Use it on your surfaces. Do these things. And American company. And man of God who runs it, who's a fan of the channel, an Israelite. So trulyfreehome.com, all the links are in the description below. Really, it'll change your life. Start living better. And that's what Maha is supposed to be all about, not just the fact that it's really a Hindu thing. I don't know if you knew this, but the word Hindu really has to do with Lord Shiva. True story. But let's put that aside, the fact that things do need to get more healthy. Make America healthy again. I'm for it. So don't you think, I think this would be something that we should probably get going. If the big pharmaceutical companies like Pfizer and everything else, and if they misled people and they did the wrong thing and they got us good and took advantage and made a lot of money off of our tax dollars, don't you think that maybe President Trump now can step in, show the world that he does care? He said he's changed, and he can, bring a lawsuit against that company. And then every single penny is sent back to the American people. That's liberty, my friends. That's a possibility. I'd like to think that. Some people say, oh, you're naive. Oh, Jacob, we thought you didn't like Trump. Oh, Jacob, you love Trump. You don't even know because I don't even know. I just know that God has him here. So I'd like to see a nice story play out. I don't want to see what I'm concerned about. And I'm concerned about the blue steel. Why am I concerned about the blue steel? Anybody know? Tell me in the live chat. Tell me in the know. Because, okay, I did this video. If you take a look at it, you see it says vote blue steel. Do you remember when he was arrested and he had his mugshot? Adam Marfugel coined the term that the blue steel shot. That's from Zoolander, the movie Zoolander. Remember, it was his little modeling shot. And the press took Adam's thing and they ran with it. Nobody gave him credit. That's all right. I'll give you credit, Adam. Go to Marfugel News and TV. You want to check out a good channel. He's got great news, and him and Dex are great people. But he put out that blue steel, and we talked about it because I saw it as like blue stealing something. The reason why I was so concerned that if Trump won on all fronts, which is what happened. We got the House, we got the Senate, we got everything else. If they do something where they're like, oh, we can't have you be president, I could see that being very problematic. So I'd like us to start praying and thinking and seeing that that's not going to be the case. Who wants that to be the case? I don't want that to be the case. Do you? A lot of people like to see heartache and terrible things. I don't. I'm happy that these cases were dropped, and I'd like to remind you that not all of them have been dropped. That's the big problem. We got a lot of people here. That makes me really super happy. I think that's because the title was pretty spooky, right? Urgent warning for America. I do believe it's an urgent warning. Worst case scenario may play out. This is my worst case scenario, and it could play out, but we can also see something else. I was a little encouraged. I'm going to play these clips with Kamala and AOC and Biden in a moment. But I was a little concerned. So this blue steel, it got me a little concerned because I was thinking, oh no, I hope that they don't, right? I hope that they don't. I mean, I was right about him not serving any jail time. That's great. That was 23 weeks ago. Okay, you can't prosecute a presidential candidate. I reminded everybody of this. But yet, look at that title, Vote Blue Steel. Vote for the blue steel. We just voted. It's like, why? I don't even remember why I put that title there, but I thought to myself, this is probably something. Because that was my worst fear. And how could it happen, right? We have a massive red wave. Massive red wave. Oh, and by the way, blue steel is from the movie Zoolander with Ben Stiller. And ironically, if you saw my show on that, I said to myself, I think Trump's in it. And I said, wouldn't it be awesome if Trump was in it at a significant moment in the movie? He was in it at 17 seconds. There's a shot of the Statue of Liberty. It's the opening of the scene. The first thing that we hear is from President Donald Trump at 17 seconds from when the movie starts. That's his numbers. Yeah, well, massive red wave is something that, that they should worry about coming in. They should worry about it coming in. But here it is. And ironically, Elon just posted out, and I reposted it. He says Arizona just decided for real Donald Trump, making a change, clean sweep of the swing state. Massive red wave success. And then you look at June 15th, 2022, massive red wave. That's what the Egyptians would have thought if we take it literally. That was 2 years, 4 months, 2 weeks, 4 days ago. 24. I don't know what it means. I tell you, Danielle doesn't like when I do the numbers all the time, but I just find it interesting. I always look to see, I'm like, oh, well, let me see if there's a connection here. Like as if I need more validation. I need validation. Give me a comment. Say that you're liking the show, okay? Say my heart's in the right place. I see some goofy people in there saying, bad stuff. I see some, like everybody else, saying amazing stuff, and I just can't believe we have this many people. So you do me a favor, will you? For the hit the like button, and don't forget you can share this video around. You click that little there's a little share button. You can just copy the link and then share it later or whatever. Let's take a listen to Vice President Kamala Harris's. Wait till I tell you how this ties into the squirrel and everything else too. So she concedes that she lost the election, but will not concede the fight. She promised to bring it to the courts, voting boxes, and encourage people to mobilize. Now, if you know anything about the word mobilize, that is in reference of not just like mobile units that move, but mobilizing troops, like going to war. So that's really what mobilize means. Okay, let's take a listen to it. Now you tell me if because she starts this off as you're looking at her, right? She looks so serious right now, but she starts this off like, we are a democracy and your vote matters. And, only a dictator and tyranny and only, the worst kind of people would not honor that. And she goes on to make it sound like everything's good. But then she says, like, that being said, you got to trust your conscience. You got to trust your God. You got to fight. Oh, all right. Take a listen. You tell me what you think. Here, you know what? Let me make sure that you can hear it okay. And I'm going to make the playback speed a little faster just in case. I don't know why.
A fight for the ideals at the heart of our nation, the ideals that reflect America at our best. That is a fight I will never give.
I mean, those are like fighting words, I think. I mean, is it me? You got to tell me. I want to see in the live chat. I mean, you just listened to that. Does that sound like she's going on. She's like, we're a democracy. We're going to trust your vote. We're going to do the right thing. And that being said, you don't owe your loyalty to the president. What? We owe it to the Constitution. We owe it to, I get that, to our God. Yeah, of course we owe loyalty to God. But it's like, that goes without saying. Because if you interpret it that way and you listen to her, you think she's saying some naughty stuff. You should go listen to the whole speech. I mean, that's, this history. I didn't want to play it all because it was really boring. And made me mad. It made me a little mad because I feel like we always have these opportunities. And, I don't know. It's a bummer because, we got protests going on. And you probably heard about the protests. Did everybody hear about the protests? Yeah, they're going on. And it's all over the place. Oh, for the people that like to criticize me. Listen, I only share this stuff because I find it interesting. I'm not saying I'm anybody special, okay? So I'm about to tell you I had like a dream of like a tower and like people attacking and like in Chicago. And it was just a dream. I don't know if it's connected. Don't give me a hard time, all right? I just want to do the right thing. And so last night in Chicago, there's the Trump Tower building in the background. They staged this thing. And it happened in a bunch of other cities too. It was like Philadelphia and some other places. And that's it. They're like, Trump out, stand up, fight back. They're like, they want him gone. They call him a clown, 50 days in between. Now, there is a lot of stuff that's getting people irked about all this because it's like, the guy's been through enough, right? He's been through enough. There are people going to say maybe it didn't really happen. Okay, well, whatever. It's like, for the story's sake, it seems like he's won now. Let's give him a chance, Let's give him a chance, but it doesn't sound to me like they're going to. That was my prediction. And I don't want it to happen. That's like, because I said it was my worst case fear. I said this to Brian. You should watch that show. Just like my worst case fear was from that dream that I had where he was in the coffin with the swamp moss and then he was dancing. And I said, oh, it's like a whole fake thing. It's going to, he's going to be back happy or dancing. And then he was. I can't explain it. Except for maybe there is 100% a God that I worship, that I love. And by worship, I don't mean, like I burn incense and do all sorts of things. It's like I want to do the right thing. So we lay down our life and our selfish desires in the world to do the right thing. To not say what's pleasant all the time. To risk sounding foolish and to criticize people that are, a lot of people may consider to be heroes. I've criticized them all. I've asked questions about them all. But this stuff that's going on, I had this dream 50 days before it. I was performing the musical Chicago. The show stopped and there was an attack on a tower. I also said the audience loved me, because what happened was I was, back in the day, I did musicals because I was too sick to do sports. So I went into acting, and I love doing musicals. I love musicals to this day. I played Amos Hart in the musical Chicago. Amos Hart is known as Mr. Cellophane because everybody kind of like looks right through him, and he gets taken advantage of, and the algorithm holds him back. I played Amos Hart. He was the guy who got cheated on in the play. But anyway, because it was the play Chicago, I knew that we were talking about Chicago. And now here we are in Chicago, which is connected to Donald Trump and Batman, the Batman movie, because I believe that they filmed the Batman movie, which, if you remember the Batman at the end, election night, he kind of sacrifices himself to save Gotham, and the flood comes in. And here we're talking about the massive red wave. Is Pharaoh going to let us go? Or is it going to be one of those things where we're going to be hunted down? That's what people are worried about. It's not just me. All right, let me play what AOC has to say. Goodbye, Madam Vice President. And here is AOC. Okay, and by the way, I want to say something. You see that word witchcraft right there? I'm not putting down witches, by the way. Witchcraft is just craft. It's like sorcery. This is stuff that was used in ancient times, okay? A witchcraft and a sorcerer or a warlock would be like a priest and a priestess. A lot of people think that I'm like talking about I'm talking about like witchcraft is in scripture is known as the spirit of rebellion. So these people are rebelling against God, and they're casting spells with their words by saying things like mobilize and fight. The end result is they win and you lose. So I warn people, I said, don't play their games, don't fight, trust in God and unite. All right, let's just play this for a sec. Let me also speed it up too. And once again, let me know. Do you think that she sounds like somebody who is, really wants unity, or do you think she's like trying to gaslight everybody into thinking this is it, the world's coming to an end? You could say goodbye to freedom, you could say goodbye to everything, you could say goodbye to it all. That's what they're doing. And it's witchcraft because words have power. So what do we need to do? We need to assure them that's not going to happen.
We are about to enter a political period that will have consequences for the rest of our lives. We cannot give up. We now find ourselves in a time in history that has precedent, and we find ourselves, I believe, in a time where there are, let's say, peers in history of mass movements of people that mobilize to protect one another in times of fascism and authoritarianism. And this is the era that we are poised to enter. Donald Trump has talked about turning the military on U.S. citizens that he deems his domestic political enemies. Authoritarians and people that he affiliates closely with and strongmen abroad in regimes like that, it is not uncommon to jail political dissidents or legislative opponents. This is the world that we very realistically may be entering.
Mobilize in times of fascism? I mean, what are these words she's throwing around? You see what I mean by when I say source? Okay, we got good vibes now. We're going to get good vibes. I got this because of the tinnitus. Someone told me that if you get one of those singing bowls and you learn how to get it to sing, that it'll help. I actually do it sometimes because I got to tell you, this tinnitus is a nightmare. It is a nightmare, but I remind myself every time I hear it, which is all the time, unless there's a lot of stuff going on. One of the reasons why I play the music a little bit louder now when I talk. I remind myself that my wife's alive, I'm alive, my son's alive, and God has pierced the ear of his servant. As the scriptures say, he does. See, it is a reminder. It is a reminder. So in any event, I had to explain that because otherwise you'll say, oh, you're into singing bowl sorcery. I'm not, but I'm into the power and wisdom of God, which is Christ, and I'm into the power of our words, faith. So, you don't believe me? I got a couple of receipts. You want to see some receipts? How many receipts do you need to see? Let's see. I said Biden would be replaced, a corrupt leader. That was in, that happened. I said Biden, our time. That happened. I said Tulsi would be with Trump. That happened. I said Apollo and Artemis are coming together. That happened. A lot of stuff happens, you know? So when I come on here and I say, oh, maybe it's a little bit of an urgent warning, I mean, I'm trying to get you to not get too triggered. Because if you're not too triggered, you can't. Let's see a different path. Biden seems to be, saying things that are, you know, I'm actually glad. I think he knew what was happening. You know, they even made a little joke. Somebody wrote, you know, when he had the dark Brandon, and they took the dark MAGA, and Joe's holding the cup, and he's got his like dark Brandon eyes, and he says, you know, we did it, or like the plan or something, and everybody's like, yeah. Remember, you put on the MAGA hat and everything else. It's just very interesting. You know what else is interesting is the fact that 20 million missing votes. 20 million. That's another thing I said. I said, you know what? One day what's going to happen is everything Trump said was it is going to be almost proven to be true. So you're going to see the absolute treachery of this other group of individuals. Whether or not that's true, I don't know. But that would get a lot of people upset. I'm saying forgive them. They don't know any better. That's what Jesus said, right? We forgive them. We don't know any better. They're not your enemy. They're Americans. And the only people that are going to stop this, while they're saying mobilize and fight, I'm saying it's time to love and unite. How do we do that? By lifting up. By showing people in your neighborhood that just because you have different political beliefs doesn't mean it's the end of the world. That you both have common core values. And those values start with, it's better to love than to hate. It's better to give than steal, you know? But 20 million votes are missing. That's what they're saying, at least. Where do they go? Some people are saying 15 million. Some people are saying, you know, some people are saying it's not really necessarily the truth. Who knows? The graphs go out, but that's so. By the way, that's at Biff Don on X. He is a very funny site, and he's a cool guy. So check him out if you want. You'll probably like the stuff that he's saying. He talked a little bit about Peanut the Squirrel too. I just did a show about Peanut the Squirrel, which you should really check out. You really should. It's in my videos. If you haven't, it was short. It was like 8-10 minutes, but there's more to this Peanut story. Did you know, we got in the news right now, Rhonda Peterson's here. That's right, Rhonda. I'm your favorite meatball. By the way, everybody, 'tis the season. This is the coolest beanie ever. It is. And it's like reverse psychology. When you say to people, I'm a meatball, they see how cool you are because you don't take yourself too seriously, but you understand that meatballs are the best. They're the best, right? Huh? Who manges? I mange. They're the best. So we got this thing with the squirrel. Remember the squirrel, the peanut squirrel? The squirrel showed up at Kamala's her big concession speech. A squirrel was there. Yeah, it was spotted before Kamala Harris's speech. And everybody said it's the ghost of Peanut. Remember the revenge of Peanut? A lot of people were putting out a lot of funny memes with Peanut the squirrel. Peanut the squirrel, even Elon put out like he was a Jedi. Star Wars is a thing. You'll see. But now here's what's weird. Do you remember I did a couple of shows where, I don't know if it was a couple of months ago, but I talked about this huge statue. I could probably tell you when. It was probably back in August because that's when the article's from. Thank you, J.K. Bell. I appreciate the super chat. You are the best. God is in control and working his will for all things to the counsel of his own will. That's right. Thank you, JK. And you know what God's will is? To save. It's God's will to save, okay? To deliver us. So you don't think that God can deliver us regardless of what is happening, regardless of who's at the helm? This is the Jubilee, people. You know? God doesn't always use the most savory individuals. To be honest, I am scared. A little bit scared. I'm like, who knows? What if people like really misunderstood the things that I said? You know, there's a little bit of fear there. Then I'll be like, hey, look, check my voting record. I'm joking. All right, listen. So they had this huge monkey man statue. Okay? That's Hanuman. Also, they're all kind of connected. They're all little incarnations of, I think it's Shiva or Vishnu. I think it's Shiva. But the statue depicts Hanuman, the Hindu deity. And if you take a look to it's just weird because I did this whole show, I should have pulled it, with Hanuman and Kamala. And she was like, Kamala was standing like right in front of the Hanuman statue in my thumbnail. I forgot to get that. But it's weird because a squirrel? God, I think it was 777 that sent this to me. Forgive me. I shared it on X, but sent me this, said, look at the squirrel on the statue. I said, oh my goodness gracious. I was just talking about the monkey god. And then here I learned the story of the squirrel that is Hanuman's helper. Hanuman is one of the gods, and the squirrel would drop these little pebbles and built this like floating bridge to was the builder of the bridge. This little squirrel that Hanuman was so grateful for his service because he suffered so much, this squirrel, and went through so much, and it was so hard. But he built this pebble by pebble, this bridge, this squirrel, and he was rewarded. And he was given 3 stripes, 3 white stripes, like the 3 pillars. The 111 that I'm all talking about. But you know, on a squirrel, sometimes they have those, or was that a chipmunk? But that's how the story goes. And I find it strange that here I'm talking about, you know, the squirrel that's spotted on stage, the squirrel that, of course, was put down. I explained all the squirrel and the peanut references. You know, the peanuts, right? Peanut is the name of the squirrel. But remember they pull Lucy pulls the football away at the very last minute. And Charlie Brown goes, that wasn't nice, right? So you think of that. You think like, is that going to happen again? Is there going to be some kind of a blue steel? I don't know. But I do know that I trust that whatever is meant to be will be. And in the end, God is going to have his way, right? God is going to have his way. That massive Red Sea ends up crushing Egypt. Nebuchadnezzar comes down and utterly wastes and destroys Egypt. He even says, he goes, I heard there was a prophet, Jeremiah, who told you of me coming down. He says, things are going to change. They're going to be swift. That's what Nebuchadnezzar does. He comes in. The law is going to work differently now. We're really in a new world. You got the Doge, right? The Department of Government Efficiency. What do you think is going to happen? Things are going to move much faster. Does that mean that's going to be better? I don't know. Maybe better for some. You better not break the law, right? You better not break the law. So I found Hanuman to be a strange connection, just very strange. And not just that, but at the same time, we have the 43 monkeys. A story, my friends, that I knew wasn't going away because this happened a long time ago. There were escaped monkeys from a while back. Did you know that? I don't know if you knew that, but there were, and you'll see. I wrote this in, what was it, the 2022 January 25th, and you'll see that I wrote "No time to panic." No time to panic. The escaped lab monkey story is just getting started. Because at the time there was some like monkeys, and I was like, I went into the whole spiel of what the 100th monkey is. It's like a story. On an island, like one monkey learned how, I don't know the story exactly perfectly, but I'll give you my take. One of them on one side of the island, you know, he learns how to crack a coconut open with like a rock or something. And then like a couple of other monkeys do it. And then like 100 monkeys do it in that one area. And then the whole world of monkeys somehow knows now how to crack open that coconut. It's like the 100th monkey. It's a big deal. This is so when I was talking about this story, I thought to myself, my goodness gracious, this is not something to panic about. This is something to be excited about. So here we have like this connection with the 43 monkeys escaping from this lab. Police say there's no danger. There's no danger, but it is weird, right? Here we're talking about the Hanuman statue, the monkey god, and the squirrel. And then a day later, no time to panic, my friends. That's the whole thing. No time to panic. It's it's like one of these things where you just have to kind of accept things as they are. I'm concerned. I'll be honest. Somebody's saying Jacob fell under the MAGA spell. The MAGA spell. My goodness gracious. Fell under the MAGA spell. It's funny that we think these things. I don't seem to fit anywhere. You know, I can't see God working in somebody that also may not be that great. Or I can't see that guy maybe not even allowed to be president one day. I'm under the MAGA spell. Wait, I got a show. How long? In January, I'll share that show. And I'll remind you all that this story is far from over. I'm just trying to get you all to just think the best. See what I'm doing? Our imagination creates. Jesus said, he says, if you had faith as a mustard seed, you could say to this Trumpster, be the best president there's ever going to be, and it would obey you. That's the thing. Do you know? This is interesting. Somebody posted this. I don't know if this is true. The god of the dead, Set, in Egypt times. Someone said, and I didn't check this out, so I don't know for sure if this is legit, but that one of Set's children is MAGA. I thought that was really interesting. It's all sorcery. It's all witchcraft. When Trump shook the hand of Elon and there was MAGA and dark MAGA, that same day when these two great sorcerers in the land, guess what they are? Really, they're influencers. I'll just say great influencers in the land who use their words and their faith to create. They came together, dark MAGA and Trump gold MAGA come together same night that Amazon Prime has the Lord of the Rings. Gandalf the White Wizard and the Dark Wizard come together same night. Come on. Who do you think Moses was dealing with back in the day? Pharaoh's sorcerers. So, I'm going to think the best. I don't know about you. I'm going to think the best. I'm going to keep my eyes open. And I'm going to remind you all that MAGA does mean, witchcraft in Latin, sure. It also is where we get the word magi from. They were the sorcerers that came, the astrologers, speculators that came to, you see, our perception could change things. That's what the scriptures teach us. And now that maybe God is doing something and shining right now, do you honestly think that anything can stand in the way of what God's going to do? I don't know. I'm concerned to see that it gets bad, but I'm praying and believing there's a possibility it could be really good. So you got to tell me in the live chat, and you got to tell me in the comment section, and you got to please do me a favor. Hit the like button, share the video around, Tell people to come to the channel. And if you're new and you haven't subscribed yet, will you tell me you subscribed? I'll find you in the comment section. A lot of people are being unsubscribed. Do me a favor, check the bell for notifications. Remember, I do shows like every other day. Okay? I'm going to go. I got my cough drops now because, my throat's been bothering me. It's just change of scenery and I guess the leaves in the air. Who knows? I love each and every one of you. I'll talk to you soon. Everything is in the links in the description. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.